Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Maya and this is Inspired by Maya. So in today's video, it's going to be part 2 to the utility two-piece set. I've already posted the video on how you make the shirt, so now we're going to make the trousers today. The pattern is available on my Etsy page if you wanted to purchase it, but without further ado, let's get into it. I'm sure you guys know by now that this is probably my least favourite part of sewing, so it always comes with a little jam session. But you want to assemble the PDF pattern, trace your pieces onto the fabric and make sure you mark all the notches and placements, then cut that out. These are the pieces you should have: 2 front trouser pieces, 2 back trouser pieces, 4 pockets and 8 pocket flaps. I'm sure you know the drill with the pockets by now. You want to mark your seam allowance on the right side, iron it towards the back, overlock your hem. And by the way, I didn't overlock the size of the pocket this time because I figured it would be better to reduce the bulk. Then top stitch the hem in place. Make sure for all top stitching detailing you're using the top stitching thread and a lengthened stitch, and for all normal seams you're using normal thread and a normal length stitch. And also don't forget to use a denim needle if you're working with a drill, twill or thick woven fabric in general. Then place the pockets on the back of the pant, matching it with your markings, and then edge stitch the pocket and then do another stitch about 6 to 7 millimeters away from the last. Now put your flaps together right sides facing, sew all around, leaving one edge untouched. Snip the corners, turn it right sides facing out, iron it flat and do the same top stitching detail we did on the pockets earlier. Now place your pockets on the markings and pin them in place. You want to do an edge stitch all around the pocket and then another stitch 6 to 7 millimeters away from that. Then you want to place the flap with the raw sides facing towards the hem of the pocket and right sides facing the fabric. Line that up with the markings we made and then do a straight stitch on that line. Trim the seam down and then iron the flap down. Do an edge stitch on the flap and then another stitch 6 to 7 millimeters away from that stitch. Now overlock the centre back seam and sew it with a straight stitch, then iron it open. For the darts, you want to use the pin method to make sure your markings match up. This dart shape is slightly different to the usual because it falls into the hem, so we'll be sewing almost a diamond shape. Use normal thread and a straight stitch, pivoting at the points, and make sure you don't backstitch at the top of the dart just to avoid having that bump. Next, iron the darts towards the larger side of the back of the pant. To pleat the pants, you want to bring the fabric from the bottom of the pant to the top and pin it in place. Just like in the parachute pant video, I've only done one pleat on these pants just to add a bit of life into them, otherwise I think they would have looked a bit too flat. Sew the sides with a small straight stitch and we can move on to the centre front. Overlock the centre front pieces, then place them together right sides facing. Again, just like the parachute pant video, you want to sew the crotch area up with your 1 cm seam allowance and then follow the zip extension up. So you should be sewing roughly 5 cm in. Once that's done, for women, iron the extension to the right side and for men, iron it to the left, then top stitch it in place. Mark your shape with chalk on the right side of the fabric and use your top stitching thread to follow that shape. Then do another stitch around 6 to 7 millimeters in from the last stitch we made and the center front is complete. I chose to do it this way rather than adding a zip in because of ease. It's the easiest way for beginners to sew, but of course you can insert a zipper if you know how to. Now overlock the side seams of your front and back leg pieces and the crotch seam. Place your front and back pieces together right sides facing and sew the sides up with a straight stitch, then press the seams open. Now follow the markings on the side of the pant and attach your pockets just like we did the back ones earlier. I like to fold my pocket in half so the middle is lying on the seam line of the side of the pant and your side should match up with the markings. Now for the crotch seam, pin the centre together first and make sure to line up the seams, then pin the rest of the leg down. Sew with a straight stitch and then press this seam open. Now onto the last step, which is hemming. You want to overlock the top and bottom of the pants and then we need to mark our hemming allowance. The pattern already has 3 cm added to it, so fold the pants on the line we just made and pin it in place on the right side. Next, change your thread to top stitching thread and lengthen your stitch, then sew your hem. For the waistband, I measured my elastic by placing it around my mid waist so that it's snug. Then I added about 2 cm extra to sew up a loop. I did that with a zigzag stitch. Then you want to quarter the elastic and match it it up with the 4 seams on the waist of the pant and pin it in place. My elastic is 2.5 centimeters wide, so there is a little bit of space left on the hem, but I placed my elastic closer to the bottom of the hem. Next, stretch the elastic and waist so it matches up, and sew about 3 to 4 millimeters from the top of the waistband on the right side of the fabric. Then sew about 5 millimeters from the original hem we did on the waistband to stitch the bottom of the elastic in place. Watch me while I pop my collar. Man.